My fellow not top sixers, welcome back. Really appreciate your support on this new channel, this new project that truly means a lot to me. Genuinely, guys, thank you for your support. As passionate and emotional as that intro was, you know what's also been passionate and emotional this year? The Europa League. The Europa League this season has been incredible. Now, if you've been tuning into the Europa League this season, you'll know that it's been full of drama. The league phase was full of drama. The knockout playoffs were even more dramatic. And I don't think that's stopping anytime soon because we're only about to begin the round of 16. So today, to our best amateur ability, we're going to try and predict the round of 16 results of the Europa League. Let's get into it. Before we start making predictions and have some wild takes on who progresses and who gets eliminated in the round of 16 of the Europa League, I want to quickly remind you of the actual matches and the clubs that still remain. The right side matchups are Roma versus Athletic Club Bilbao, Fenerbahçe versus Rangers, FCSB, a very nice surprising club from Romania, versus Lyon from France, and then we got Manchester United, a struggling Manchester United, versus Real Sociedad. And on the left side of the bracket, the matchups get even more intriguing. Viktoria Plzeň from Czechia taking on Lazio. We have Bodø Glimt from Norway against the Conference League champions of last season in Olympiacos. Ajax from the Netherlands versus Eintracht Frankfurt from the Bundesliga, followed by another Dutch club in AZ Alkmaar who have to take on Spurs. And we will get to Spurs, don't worry. So where do we begin? Well, we're gonna begin with Tottenham. Yeah, we're gonna AZ Alkmaar versus Spurs. All right, all jokes aside, I do feel bad for Spurs this year. It's been a very injury-riddled campaign filled with just disappointment. Some have been calling for the sacking of Big Ange because in England, they're not having a very good season. They're out of the FA Cup, they're out of the Carabao Cup, and currently in the Premier League, at the time of this recording, they're in 13th place. But after all that disappointment, the Europa League dream for Tottenham and Spurs fans, it still remains. They're still alive. Now, I don't want to hype up Spurs too much in this competition, but given all their injuries, they did have a pretty decent league phase campaign, finishing in the top 8 while losing only once. I believe it was to Galatasaray. And they got drawn against AZ Alkmaar from the Netherlands, who ironically enough beat Galatasaray in the knockout playoffs to get this far. If we're being 100% honest with each other, AZ Alkmaar didn't beat Galatasaray, they cooked them. But that's besides the point. Or maybe that is the point, because if Tottenham loses to Galatasaray while AZ Alkmaar can beat Galatasaray, that would only mean that AZ Alkmaar would beat Tottenham. But no, guys, that's not happening. Even though Tottenham have had a bad season, I think they're still good enough to beat AZ Alkmaar. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be close. They're not just going to roll over AZ, but Tottenham will advance. I'm taking Spurs to get to the quarterfinals. If Spurs progress to the quarterfinals, they will have yet another challenge on their hands because they would face the winner of this next matchup, which is a big one, I would think. It's Ajax versus Eintracht Frankfurt, a top Dutch side versus a very good performing Bundesliga side. Ajax is obviously a very historic side with a trophy cabinet probably bigger than my house, but they only got to the round of 16 of the Europa League via the playoffs. As good as their bounce back season have been in the Eredivisie, their Europa League campaign was filled with a lot of head scratching. They lost to RFS in the league phase, a team from Latvia. No disrespect to RFS, but Ajax should be winning that one. And then in the knockout playoffs against the Belgian side Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, it looked like Ajax had full control after the first leg. The second leg, obviously at home, they're up 2-0, but in the first 30 minutes, everything for Ajax basically collapsed. They took a red card, Royal Union Saint-Gilloise scored 2 goals, and it looked like Ajax is basically on the verge of elimination. It looked like they were done. By some chance, Royal Union Saint-Gilloise couldn't score with a man up and take the lead. But then Ajax was given a penalty in extra time. They converted the penalty, and that's how Ajax moved into the round of 16. While Ajax's opponent, Eintracht Frankfurt, did have a very, very good Europa League phase campaign, obviously finishing in the top 8. But yes, and there is a but. You have to remember that Eintracht Frankfurt does not have Marmoush anymore. He's at Manchester City. Omar Marmoush was a significant contributing factor to Eintracht Frankfurt getting into the top 8 of the Europa League this season and automatically qualifying for the round of 16. But now he's gone. Reinforcements by Eintracht Frankfurt after the sale of Marmoush have happened. They've brought in Michy Batshuayi and they brought in Wahi from Marseille. But so far, and I mean so far at the time of this recording, neither Batshuayi or Wahi have scored for Frankfurt. We can't not mention Hugo Ekitike though, who also plays for Frankfurt, and it looks like he will be their main man going forward. He's the one that scores goals, like he's their guy. So can the departure of Omar Marmoush from Frankfurt be the deciding factor between Ajax and Eintracht Frankfurt? I don't think so. Even without Omar Marmoush, I think Frankfurt is the better side. Overall, on paper, Frankfurt just has the edge. I think Eintracht Frankfurt advances advances past Ajax. Ajax is eliminated, and the first quarterfinal matchup will be Spurs versus Eintracht Frankfurt. That will be crazy. And that brings us to matchup number 3, a very, very intriguing matchup, I would say, a very random matchup. It is the Conference League winners of last season in the Greek giants Olympiacos versus the Norwegian club in Bodø Glimt. A Bodø Glimt is in the round of 16 of the Europa League. This is the stuff that we love to see here. Now, Olympiacos does not like to lose matches. They don't lose a lot of matches in the Greek Super League, and they definitely didn't lose a lot of matches in the Europa League either. Specifically, they only lost once, and that was to Lyon. They finished in the top 8 by beating some pretty decent clubs like Braga and Porto. They also beat Karabag. So their journey into the round of 16 has been pretty standard. But all standards get thrown out the window when you mention Bodø Glimt's journey into the round of 16, specifically in the knockout playoffs where they had to face FC Twente. 3 goals in stoppage time in leg 2 between Bodø Glimt and FC Twente to send the second leg into extra time, and then 2 more goals in extra time to give Bodø Glimt the win. Bodø Glimt went from being eliminated to progressing to extra time, then to progressing again. It was just absolute mayhem. It's safe to say the emotions were high. Now, the one thing I love about both clubs, Olympiacos and Bodø Glimt, it has to be the fans, right? Olympiacos, the Greek fans, they're absolutely insane. They're crazy. But the Bodø Glimt fans in Norway, even though they have a pretty small stadium, they're also extremely loud, very passionate, and it makes the trip to Norway a very, very tough place to play. We will take the fan bases and the loudness out of the equations because both stadiums will be very, very chaotic, and we're just going to base it on who is the better club. And I think, unfortunately for Bodø Glimt, this is the end of the road. I think Olympiacos is the better club. I think Olympiacos progresses. Would it be incredible to see a side like Bodø Glimt progress into the quarterfinals of the Europa League? Absolutely. I would love to see it. It would be such a fairy tale story, but it would also be very cool to see Olympiacos win the Conference League and the Europa League in back-to-back seasons. Now, that's a long ways away from the quarterfinals, but I think Olympiacos takes a step forward to get there and eliminates Bodø Glimt. Which brings us to our next matchup, and the winner of this will face Olympiacos in the quarterfinals. According to my predictions, it is Lazio, the number 1 seeded Europa League club this season, versus the Czech side in Viktoria Plzeň. Where do we start? I think we start with Lazio, guys. Dominating campaign in the Europa League. Had a couple of small little boo-boos, drawing with Ludogorets Razgrad from Bulgaria and then losing to Braga away. But overall, they had a very, very good campaign, finishing first in the Europa League, and currently in Serie A, they're having a pretty good season as well. They're not just a Europa League club. They are performing pretty decently in both competitions. But since their injury to their main man, Valentin Castellanos, they've actually gone winless in their past 3 matches, drawing with Napoli, drawing with Venezia, and losing to Inter Milano in the Coppa Italia. It looks like Lazio has been trying to figure out who's going to fill the void for Castellanos, because I think he's gone, I read, until like mid-March, so he could miss not only the first leg against Viktoria Plzeň, but he might miss both. With Viktoria Plzeň coming off a pretty good performance, especially at home in the second leg against the Hungarian side Ferencváros in the knockout playoffs, and that raises a lot of question marks on exactly what will happen between Viktoria Plzeň and Lazio, because Viktoria Plzeň is a pretty good side as well. They have some pretty decent players like Vidra, obviously. They have the Nigerian kid Indurasinmi, but will that be enough for Viktoria Plzeň to get by Lazio? Even if Lazio won't have Castellanos for one leg or both legs, I'm not sure. No, the answer is no. I think Lazio still wins, and that will set up Olympiacos versus Lazio in the quarterfinals. It's just too big of an ask. I understand it could happen. I know that Bodø Glimt might be able to beat Olympiacos, and maybe Viktoria Plzeň could upset Lazio, but the probability of that is small. You know what I mean? It's small. The chance for a fairy tale story, it's always there, guys, and maybe it will happen, but probably not. 4 predictions down, 4 more to go, and boy, oh boy, do we have a controversial one next. Rangers versus Fenerbahçe. Specifically, the controversy. Jose Mourinho in the news all over the place right now about the controversy that I'm not going to speak on. I'm not going down that road. But I will speak on the matchup, Fenerbahçe versus Rangers. And on paper, it looks like Fenerbahçe with Jose Mourinho are the ones that are the favorites to progress and move on to the quarterfinals. Now, at the time of this recording, Fenerbahçe hasn't lost a match in almost 3 months. The last time they lost, I believe, was December 11th in the Europa League to Athletic Club Bilbao. There are 2 more matches for Fenerbahçe to play at the time of this recording before they face Rangers in the Europa League, so maybe that unbeaten streak will be over, but overall, they're going into this Europa League tie against Rangers in superior form. But their overall Europa League campaign has been anything but superior. They finished in 24th. They got the last spot, guys. Fenerbahçe just barely qualified for the knockout playoffs. They had to face Anderlecht in the knockout playoffs, who had a very good Europa League campaign. I believe they finished in 10th, but Fenerbahçe took care of business over the course of 2 legs. So here they are in the round of 16. Rangers, on the other hand, had a very impressive Europa League campaign. They obviously finished in the top 8, automatically qualifying for the round of 16. And to get there, they beat some impressive sides. They had some very, very good results. They beat the likes of Nice. They drew with Spurs. They narrowly drew with Manchester United at Old Trafford if it wasn't for a stoppage time goal. It is extremely difficult to call Rangers and Fenerbahçe, but I think Jose Mourinho will prevail, and I think Fenerbahçe moves on narrowly, but Fenerbahçe moves on. Rangers are going to put up a good fight. Fenerbahçe moves on to the quarterfinals, and Jose Mourinho would then have an opportunity to face a former club, possibly in the quarterfinals, because he would have to face the winner of Roma versus Athletic Club Bilbao. Roma, Jose Mourinho. Guys, let's be serious for a second. Although Roma has been improving in Italy, they barely squeaked by Porto in the knockout playoffs, and now they gotta face a club that's been basically at the top of their game the entire season. Athletic Club Bilbao is no joke. Athletic Club Bilbao is having a crazy season in La Liga, guys, and you can't even count them out of not winning La Liga this year yet, because they're only 6 points back of first place Barcelona. Athletic Club Bilbao in La Liga, they haven't lost a match since October. And in the Europa League, their campaign has been just as dominant. They finished in 2nd place, only behind Lazio, losing only once to Besiktas. So can Paulo Dybala put Roma on his back and carry Roma to victory over Athletic Club Bilbao? Fat chance, man. I don't think it's happening. There's just no way. You can't bet against Athletic Club Bilbao here, and I'm not going to be that guy that does it. I'm not picking Roma in this tie at all. It's Athletic Club Bilbao all the way to the quarterfinals, which sets up Fenerbahçe versus Athletic Club Bilbao. Jose Mourinho might be cooked in the quarters. The last 2 round of 16 predictions. FCSB, the impressive Romanian side, versus Ligue 1, Lyon. Now, I gotta say, Lyon is not the same Lyon that used to be so dominant and finish constantly high up the table in Ligue 1. When you think of the name Olympique Lyonnais, your brain automatically connects it to success. But to be truthful, there hasn't been a lot of success at Lyon for quite a while. Honestly, this matchup between FCSB and Lyon, I think it's closer than people expect. During the league phase match, only 1 point separated Lyon and FCSB. Lyon finished in 6th, FCSB finished in 11th. Lyon finished on 15 points, FCSB on 14. Lyon lost once, FCSB lost twice. By the way, anyone want to talk about this right here? Lyon losing to Bourgoin-Jallieu in the Coupe de France round of 32. I'm pretty sure Jallieu plays in the 5th tier of French football, guys. Yes, tier. There's gaps to this stuff, okay? Listen, I'm not a Lyon hater. I'm just pointing out the facts. Lyon have gone through some stuff this year, okay? Well, at the same time, what can you say about FCSB from Romania? They got into the knockout playoffs. They drew against PAOK in leg 1. There was a questionable call where Tyson from PAOK was sent off. FCSB won leg 1 2-1. It went back to Romania, and FCSB dominated the 2nd leg as well, 2-0. I watched both legs, and FCSB looked really, really good. FCSB is also on a pretty decent run of form. They've only lost 2 matches since November, 1 in the Romanian Cup and 1 to Manchester United in the league phase of the Europa League. They don't really got any superstars on the team. I mean, the 35-year-old Vlad Chiriches, who I believe used to play for Napoli and Spurs back in the day. Yeah, well, he's 35 now, ending off his career in Romania, playing in the Europa League against Lyon. But after all said and done, my friends, I think this is where FCSB journey in the Europa League, it stops. I think Lyon will progress and go to the quarterfinals. Just like in Bodø Glimt's case, I would absolutely love to see an upset here, and maybe it could still happen. That's the beauty of football. You never know what could happen, right? Like FCSB beating PAOK pretty comfortably. Probably not a lot of people expected that, but they did it, and they progressed, and they earned their keep here in the round of 16. But the favorite over the course of 2 legs here, it has to be Lyon. Am I wrong to pick Lyon? It feels wrong on the inside, because we love fairy tale stories, and it genuinely feels wrong not to pick FCSB, but I'm still sticking with Lyon. Maybe the decision will bite me in the ass later on. I don't know. Now, the winner between FCSB and Lyon, and according to my predictions, it's Lyon, will play the winner of Real Sociedad and Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. You don't need to do a lot of research to find out exactly what kind of season Manchester United is having. They're not having a very good season. A historic season for all the wrong reasons, sitting currently in 14th place in the Premier League. What a campaign. But that never spilled over to the Europa League for some reason for Manchester United. They had a pretty decent league phase, actually being the only club that went undefeated through the entire league phase of the Europa League. They finished third, 5 wins, 3 draws, only behind Lazio and Athletic Club Bilbao, earning an automatic place in the round of 16. Man United did have a couple of blunders in the Europa League early on, drawing with FC Twente, then they drew with Porto, then they drew, I believe, with Fenerbahçe. And this one right here wasn't great either, against Bodø Glimt at Old Trafford. Yes, Man United won that one, but Bodø Glimt was up, okay? They were up 2-1 at one point. While Real Sociedad, I would say, is having a pretty disappointing campaign this season in La Liga, according to their standards, because over the last couple of years, they've achieved pretty high place finishes in La Liga, 6th, 5th, 4th. This year, though, they're currently, at the time of this recording, they're sitting in 9th, and they've actually lost more matches than they've won. They did have some questionable losses, I would say, once again, by their standards in the Europa League earlier on, losing to Anderlecht and losing to Viktoria Plzeň. My biggest issue in this matchup is the lack of confidence that I have in regards to anything that Manchester United does. Like, these guys can barely beat Ipswich Town. They're scraping by. They're losing to Crystal Palace. How are they going to beat Real Sociedad over 2 legs? Even though Real Sociedad is not having that great of a season, I'm pretty sure Real Sociedad is like licking their chops, like, yes, we got Man United. And for that sole reason, from inconsistencies to the disappointment over the course of an entire season, I cannot bet against Real Sociedad here. Manchester United cannot beat Real Sociedad over 2 legs. It can't happen. Real Sociedad wins. Let's put all the favoritism aside and try to think logically about this. From what you've seen from Manchester United for this entire season, do you really think that Manchester United can beat Real Sociedad over the course of 2 legs? I think not. Real Sociedad advance. To note, while we're wrapping up the video, I will be cheering for Bodø Glimt, fairy tale story, and I will be cheering for FCSB, fairy tale story, and I will be cheering for Viktoria Plzeň, fairy tale story, absolutely. And yes, I will be cheering for AZ Alkmaar as well, fairy tale story there too. But logically, these are the predictions. There's a big difference between what I want to happen and what I think will happen. Let me know your predictions down below, guys, and also rate my predictions W or L. Other than that, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, stay happy, stay healthy, always keep smiling. Please hit the like button for me, and if you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button with a little noti bell so you don't miss out on any future videos like this on the channel. We're gonna keep on doing it. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace, 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 peace. Love you as always. Peace.